A large part of what makes blacksmithing great in today's world is that sense of community, that blacksmiths share things and we work together, we learn from each other, whether it's through making YouTube videos or at workshops, conferences, demos, or just hanging out with your buddies on Saturday afternoon. But the blacksmithing community is much larger than just you as a blacksmith or you and I as blacksmiths. It includes authors who are writing books, people running schools and classes, the manufacturers, suppliers, and dealers of the products that we need as blacksmiths. And I'm talking primarily those people who make things specifically for blacksmithing or sell things specifically to blacksmiths. There are lots of places that you can go buy a tool that is useful in the shop. You can go to your local big box store and buy a drill or an angle grinder, some files, all that kind of stuff. But the executives and the buyers for those big box stores or places like Amazon could care less about the blacksmithing community beyond the color of our money. What I'm talking about generally are still our fellow blacksmiths, but they offer something extra. Like Steve Fontanini makes this great anvil. He's a blacksmith first and foremost, but he's also in the anvil business. So when you're buying an anvil from Steve, you're supporting a fellow blacksmith. When you buy an anvil from Texas Farrier Supply, you're supporting people that deal with blacksmiths. Farriers and blacksmiths have always been intertwined, even though there's some technical differences in the two. Atlas Knife and Forge has sent us this little anvil and this little forge to take a look at. Are blacksmiths who are helping the blacksmithing community by making these tools available. And the same goes for the makers of forges and the accessories for forges and for anvils, hand tools, treadle hammers, power hammers, all of that kind of stuff, necessary part of the craft. And part of what I want to do here at Black Bear Forge is make sure that you as a blacksmith know where you can connect with some of these other people that are making anvils, making forges, some of the power hammer suppliers, makers of hydraulic presses, all of that kind of stuff. And as we move forward with our Back to Basics series, I want to look at a lot more of those tools and those suppliers, but I also want to look at the manufacturers, suppliers that make things that are beyond the basic, like the power hammers, the hydraulic presses, bigger, fancier anvils, things that aren't really basics and aren't necessarily needed in most shops, but are tools and equipment that are nice to have as you advance and as you evolve as a blacksmith. So in the interest of full disclosure, I thought I would talk about that a little bit today. Yes, I reach out to some of these suppliers and manufacturers and I say, hey, if you send me a tool, I would be happy to share it. Some of them contact me first. There are places that I've never even heard of that contact me. And of course, in the past, we've looked at a lot of Vevor tools that are helpful, and they do make some anvils and some forges that you can get by with, but they're not blacksmiths. They're not really part of the blacksmithing community. They're really just another form of a big box store that happens to have some useful stuff for blacksmiths. So I'm not reaching out to them anymore, and probably I won't be taking anything from them to look at beyond that little anvil we looked at a few videos back. I think that's going to be the last thing. I hope. There's no promises, no guarantees on any of this stuff. But I am reaching out to some of the other anvil manufacturers, makers of gas forges, and companies that make other tooling so that I can share those things with you. Yes, I get tools to use here in my shop out of the deal, and that is one of the perks of making YouTube videos. YouTube is not some big lucrative income in spite of what some of the popular myths are. It's very limiting, and YouTube does not pay me to go out and buy these tools. I would love to go out and buy a dozen anvils just for the purpose of reviewing them and sharing them with you, so there's absolutely no appearance of bias in any of it, but I can't afford to do that. That would cost me $10,000 or more to do that, and that simply is not in my budget. So I've been reaching out to manufacturers and dealers, and really there is value in this both for them and for you as a viewer, because if you're looking for an anvil, you're looking for a forge, you're looking for an alternative to my big 60 kilogram power hammer, something that's going to be a little bit easier for you to work with and more within your budget, being able to present those tools here helps you to be better informed on what's available and what you might be looking at when you buy a tool, what it's going to take to set it up, have it delivered, all that kind of stuff. And for that reason, I think there's great value to you as a viewer as well as to the makers and the dealers. Now, as I'm doing more of this, I'm actually not charging any kind of a sponsored video fee. Typically on YouTube, it's send me the product and pay me $1,000, $2,000, $5,000. Some YouTubers really do make very good money doing sponsored videos. None of those are doing blacksmithing videos. There's no power hammer company, anvil company, press company, anything like that that's going to pay that. Usually I charge a couple of $100, but right now I'm more interested in making that connection between the people that make things that support blacksmiths and the blacksmiths that need the things that they make. So I stopped any form of charging for those videos at all, even though it was always very minimal. And I'm just trying to present the tools. Yes, in general, I get to keep the tools, and it does help me around here and gives me tools that we can use in future videos. As the collection of things like anvils grows, that means I have more anvils to look at as we do that basic series, so people can see if there's any advantage or disadvantage to one anvil or another, and I can be much more thorough about the reviews. And if we do another similar series in the future, those tools will still be available to use, even though I don't really need them in my day-to-day operation. Now, I try to be as honest as I can about these things. I don't want to try to present a tool as being better than it is. I don't want to try and downplay a tool if it's a good tool. I want to present them as honestly as possible, and that's one of the reasons I'm not taking any kind of direct pay for this. Face it, if they pay me, I can take that to the bank and pay the mortgage or buy groceries, but an anvil that I'm going to keep in the shop and use in future videos is just useful for videos and not something that pays the bills. But I do try to keep them as honest as possible, and I'm not really here to say you need to buy this tool over this tool because brand B is so much better than brand A. That's not really my intent. If a tool isn't very good, I'm going to tell you it's not very good. But if it's the tool that fits your budget and you think it's got everything you need in a tool, that's entirely up to you. I'm not here to tell you not to buy import tools because all import tools are garbage, which simply is not true. There's some outstanding import tools out there. I have some imported anvils that are wonderful. My fly press is an import. The 60 kilogram Samac is an import. The Fireball Tools Vice is an import. Lots of tools that were made in other countries. That doesn't make them bad tools. But if somebody sends me a tool that's just a cheap tool with poor quality control, poor attention to detail, I will certainly call them out on that, and I'll make sure you know that as I look at the tool. Well, I find a way to buy the tools that I actually need in the shop and really want, whether I'm going to review them or not. Tools just to review, just to share through YouTube videos, like I say, I just can't afford to do that, nor do I think it's really appropriate for me to go out and pay a company to buy their product so that I can review that product for free, and the entire expense is out of my pocket. It benefits you as a viewer, benefits them as a company, but it costs me more money to do that than what these videos make me. So it really is not a viable option. If I'm going to present their product, do a little bit of marketing for them, the cost of the product is generally way less than the marketing value of a YouTube video. So this summer we will be looking at a lot of different products. We have quite a few anvils coming in, some forges, something that looks an awful lot like a power hammer but isn't quite, and that's probably going to be one of the next videos coming up here on Black Bear Forge. As I record this, it should be here tomorrow. And in the long run, all of this is to support the blacksmithing community and hopefully enhance your enjoyment of the craft of blacksmithing. In the meantime, I hope you have time in your day to get out to your shop, make something, stay safe, wear your safety glasses. We'll see you for the next video.